100%. And you guys, listen, I want to share two things or three. Number one, Omri is sold out. All right. You can buy products that are Omri certified that have, NPK in it. They have a small percentage of fertilizer in it. All right. And it's certified. So just don't trust anybody. Like they say, you have to know your sources.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to say is that this summer or last summer, I traveled across the country and I did 6 impromptu soil awareness classes. And I'd done them before, years before. And I might get 4 or 5 people show up, but generally would never ask any intelligent questions. Last year, I think the smallest one I had was 20, 25 people. Otherwise, it would be 40 or 50 people from all walks of life, all ages, asking really, really intelligent questions. It was one of the most uplifting things I experienced in my entire life, that the awareness was finally really starting to sink home. And I blame COVID. I blame people being locked up for a year saying, what am I doing with my life? What am I eating? How am I? Where's my joy? Right? And lastly, I have a garden here in Oxnard that I use. I grow pollinators, indigenous plants, herbs and grasses, flowers, and I use that as a green material for my compost making. And my landlord, while I was gone, texted me and said, "Hey, the garden's a little unruly. Can I cut it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just have Timo weed whack it at 4 inches, chop and drop everything. It'll look a lot cleaner and it'll come back even richer because you're just feeding the plants the foods that they want in a baby food form. So eating a plant is a lot easier than eating minerals, or for the bacteria it is anyway." And so when I got back here, it was bare compost, bare, gone. The little shrub that I've been nursing for 3 years, all the leaves were off of it, and the ones that were on it were brown, dead. You could snap the top branches off of it.
Right.
So, yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was devastating, and I had to work my ass off when I got back to catch back up because I was off for 3 months. So I didn't really have time to deal with it. And then finally, when I caught up with all my work, I called my good friend Kyle Moot, who will be on the show in the future, and I said, "I want you to go out in the most polluted field, a field that you know." He's a corn and bean farmer, traditional ag in Illinois. And I want you to pull grass clods. So I want the grass, I want the dirt balls, and I want the whole plant sent to me. He sent me 3 boxes. I did a separation. So I took a concrete vibrator, I attached it to a compost bucket or a compound bucket or 5-gallon bucket, whatever you want to call it, added in water, hung the plant in the water, in the solution, so the plant was not touching the bucket in any way. And I vibrated it for about 15, 20 minutes, and all the soil came off of it. Now I had a bare root ball. So I took the bare root ball with the plant and I threw it in the compost pile, the grass. Then I separated the solids, the sand, silt, and clay, from the chocolate water. You just do it by reverse gold panning. So you're just pouring off the top, swirl it, pour off the top, swirl it, pour off the top. So you get, and then add a little clean water to get the last little bit. 1 application of that. 2 weeks later, I seeded it with new indigenous plants and new pollinators, hayed it, and sprayed it with one part my product, which is basically fish brew, my own compost, and some worm castings. If I took you out to that garden right now, you'd never know it was devastated.
Nice.
The reason they're making Roundup 5 times stronger now is that the biology has learned to break it down.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So sometimes you can use the opposites. If you are in a situation where you know you've got a problem, go to nature. There's nothing she can't break down. Nothing. And you guys, I'm about to start a project in one of the most polluted Superfund sites on the planet. Poe and I are going in.
Is it a Hanford in Washington or something, or what?
No, actually it's Rocketdyne.
It's what?
Rocketdyne. So Rocketdyne is where they brought the German scientists right after the war and set them up on top of this mountain where there's no people around. And they did Crazy shit up there. They built the rocket, the one that the Apollo rocket engine was built up there. When they test fired that thing off, the whole Simi Valley shook.
Wow.
They had the first nuclear reactor up there, which unfortunately melted down in '58. They had a burn pit, you guys. I don't know if you know what a military burn pit is.
Yeah.
They throw everything they have and burn it.
Yep. Yep. Mustard gas.
You name it. Whatever they were fucking around with. So there's a burn pit up there. They are being sued by the state of California to remove 3 million yards of soil, haul it to Nevada, burn it, and haul 3 million yards back up onto that mountain.
That is super intelligence. I love it. I live for this kind of intelligence.
Yeah,
I think we all die. We all die because of this intelligence.
That first regenerative conference you were talking about before, I forget the person's name, but he was a soil scientist who was there. It wasn't Caesar. It was the not Chip. Not Chip. He had a project in India that he was doing soil. It was a bunch of waste and garbage in the soil there, and he grew, vegetation like weeds, and then tilled it back in and grew weeds and tilled it back in. I think it was 4 cycles or 4 years, and then retested the soil, and it had gotten rid of all of the heavy metals. And it wasn't through incineration, it was through microbiology and tilling it in. And I found that really powerful. He was a soil scientist. I'm being really lame that I can't remember. But
let's think about something for a minute. When you've got a brain, when there's somebody that is thinking off of, they've got so many pathogens in their body, they're feeding their pathogens, there's sugar, they're all this idea. The last thing that those pathogens want to be discovered is biology and nature. Because inevitably, as soon as that person starts speaking about nature and biology, there's a possibility that could kill them, or at least kill the person that they are now. So it's just really interesting to me that, of course, an unhealthy society is going to be pushing unhealthy ideas. Because if we actually have nature, there's way too much of a chance that nature is going to come in and wipe that out, which people see as a death. And that's the kind of death that we need. We need death of the stupidity. Mm-hmm. We need that kind of death, but people don't recognize that it's going to be death of the stupidity and not just death of their whole being.